Some of the early Christians are now called Gnostics, or the people who know.
The Gnostics were mystics. That is to say, they were people that felt they could have some kind of direct access to God. The word Gnostic comes from the Greek word gnosis, which means knowledge. But this kind of knowledge is not everyday knowledge. It is not book learning. It is insight. It is intuition. It is that ability to know something about yourself, to know that you have a spark of the divine inside of you, and to recognize the God that you profess to be, the God that is outside, is the same as that spark of the divine that is within you. And many of the Gnostics were Christians.
Gnostics are the people who wrote most of the texts known as the Nag Hammadi Library. Their stories about Christ are much more abstract and philosophical than those of the New Testament. One favorite was the Gospel of Thomas.
Kihi vasiliatu theo entos human estikaktos hos an hefton noin taften hevrisi kihot humis heftus nain susite etisite hoti hu este humis tu patros tut sontos.
When some of us were in graduate school and we first got to know these other Gospels, like the Gospel of Thomas, we were told, well, these are Gnostic, these are heretical, these are weird and strange. We were told that Gnostics means, people who are basically wrong. And this is sort of like in the 1940s and 50s in this country, you talk about the communists. And that's a way of dismissing them. So Gnostic is a term like that. They didn't call themselves that. They called themselves Christians.
Early church fathers fought against the Gnostics.
One of the difficulties that the Gnostics presented for people in the emerging Orthodox Church was the fact that Gnostics didn't need to have the advice and the control and the insight that came from the priests and the bishops. They had that insight in themselves, and that bothered the church leaders.
The 10th point is the knowledge. This is the gnosis in Greek. The knowledge that awakens man from these dreams is not arrived at by cognition, but through revelatory experience. And it is not an accession of information, but a modification of the entire being. So what kind of knowledge is this? When we say knowledge, we think something that we can learn and then we know it. Or that it is what we are missing is some vital piece of information. If we only had the whole story, and so we run from pillar to post and from this internet to that internet to get the information that is going to do the trick. But it is not a matter of information. There is nothing somebody can inform you about that is going to do this trick. Well, then what is it? It is an experience of your own. An experience of the essential, deeper reality of yourself and of existence. It's much easier to talk about information. That's what all these books here are. And down in that great big library down below there, I would say 99% and then some, that's all they are, information. Talking about the important things. Like theology has been defined, a theologian has been defined as somebody who knows a great deal about God, but nothing of God. That's how it is. We think that if we know more and more about this thing, it's going to work. Well, knowing about is perhaps a good way of being led in the direction, but ultimately we have to know the thing itself and not just about it. You might say, but it's impossible. The Gnostic says it's not impossible. Because you have that kind of potential. You have a hidden organ inside of yourself, which is capable of doing that. It's hidden because you haven't used it yet. Or you have used it so seldom that it bypasses you. But once you begin to use it, you will see that it is there. And then the experience is revelatory. Because, well, these things have been sort of alluded to in all kinds of psychological ways by modern psychologists. The aha experience, the peak experience, any number of things of that sort. The confrontation with the self, as Jung calls it. But in all of these cases, it is something that opens up a new way of being. Not just more information, not just a cognitive process such as a logical process of induction or deduction, but a breaking into another, a deeper kind of reality. And that modifies one's being. People who have that kind of experience are different thereafter. They have changed. There is a change in the being of the person. Sometimes you can even see the change in the physical appearance of people when they have had experiences of this sort. But it definitely changes them. While people can certainly learn an awful lot of stuff, amass a lot of information, and it doesn't change them one bit.
The magician uses a pentacle enclosed within a circle for conjuration. The surrounding circle is his protection. To break it is to allow the evil to enter.
Is this what is being implied? I think not. Certainly it's a possibility, but the pentacle is not only a symbol of black magic, of evil. The shape seemed to be assuming an unexpected significance in my research into the history of the Priory of Zion. It kept nagging at me, and when I talked to Monsieur Plantard, I asked him about the geometry I had found and what significance he saw in the stressing of the pentacle. The geometry is pentagonal, isn't it?
Je ne peux pas vous répondre à ce sujet.
At that moment, Monsieur Plantard could have said, I don't know what you're talking about, or even there is no significance. But in a sense, his answer confirmed my suspicion that there was an importance attached to that symbol which I had yet to discover. Magic seemed a possible answer. But then, magic has become a matter for ridicule. But it's not always been so. This story has a very long past, and the blood of thousands has been shed in the fight against witchcraft. And even today there are many who take magic all too seriously, no matter how much we others may scoff. We've even subtly distorted the vocabulary. The word occult has come to be associated only with magic, witchcraft, devil worship. But occult simply means hidden. A secret body of knowledge reserved only for the initiated. Saunière, I know, had left us cryptic images of one such body of hidden knowledge. The symbols of air, fire, water, earth. The four elements of alchemy. Alchemy, for most people today, no more than a half-forgotten medieval quest for a way to change base metal into pure gold. But the true alchemist's search was much more than that. A key phrase in their writings is, as above, so below, reflecting their continual search for an earthly counterpart to the immensity of God's cosmos, their desire to transmute base man into pure spirit. The alchemical quest seems to have held much fascination for many of the Grand Masters of the Priory of Zion, and the Templars seem to have absorbed it along with the other Eastern philosophies and sciences with which they came into contact. As above, so below. Base man into pure spirit, a religious concept. And the Templars were a religious organization, the Priory also. And Saunière the priest emphasized the religious aspect by placing cryptic imagery in his church, a church dedicated centuries before his time to Mary Magdalene, the redeemed sinner who was the first to see Christ after the resurrection. When Saunière returned from Paris with his newfound knowledge, he emphasized the importance of Mary Magdalene by naming the tower which he built with his newfound wealth, La Tour Magdala, the Magdala Tower. For the occult initiates of the Middle Ages, Mary Magdalene, through her redemption from sin and her unique knowledge of the risen Christ, was regarded as a medium of secret revelation, and those initiates had chosen the planet Venus as her symbol in the cosmos. A saint and a star. The connection between them could only be fanciful, subjective, close to fairy tale. I could find no connection that seemed valid to me until I realized that I had to stop imposing modern attitudes on the thinking of those involved in this mystery. To come to terms with it, to begin to understand, I had to look at their beliefs, their interpretations, in their way, and not in ours. If we are to find a significance in Venus, then we must look at the planet as they did. And in the thinking of those who created this mystery, there was some connection between the pentacle at Rennes-le-Château, Mary Magdalene, and Venus. But how did the medieval mind view the universe? As soon as I began to work along those lines, I found exciting new answers to old questions stemming from the ancient belief that the Earth, and not the Sun, was the center of the universe. Each planet has its own pattern of movement around the Sun when seen from the Earth, and for medieval astrologers, those differing movements allowed them to draw geometric shapes based on the positions of the planets when they are aligned with the Sun. For example, Mercury in its orbit is aligned 3 times with the Sun, and the pattern formed by these conjunctions is an irregular triangle. Each planet makes a different number of alignments, each forms its own irregular pattern. Only one planet forms a precise and regular geometric pattern in the sky, and that planet is Venus, the heavenly representation of the earthly Mary Magdalene. And the pattern she draws, as regularly as clockwork every 8 years, is a pentacle. As above, so below. At Rennes-le-Château, village of Mary Magdalene, we have the perfect pentacle, the earthly counterpart of the perfect pentacle in the heavens, the secret and hidden pattern of Venus, the Magdalene. Each pentacle precise, known, yet hidden. One must be initiated into the mystery before one can see the age-old and unchanging truth that the heavens find reflected in that tiny location on the face of the earth. Here was the link between the worlds of matter and spirit, between base and corrupt man here on earth and the twinkling firmament where dwelt God and all his saints. Mary Magdalene, the medium of a secret revelation, was herself the image of the secret revelation in the sky. To the medieval mind, to the alchemist, to the Templar, to the Priory of Zion, such an image was immensely powerful, immensely potent. In that majestic symbol in the sky, harmonious, unchanging, regular as a metronome, was the music of the spheres. "10 years ago, I asked a question. Did Béranger Saunière really find a treasure? That led me into a hunt for the treasure of the Templars, and I found that their shadow obscured the Priory of Zion. 10 years of research into the obscure byways of history, 10 years of discoveries and false leads, of excitement and irrelevancies. But always there were the Templars, the Priory, Rennes-le-Château, and Saunière's immense wealth. Did he really find some long-forgotten hoard of gold? On balance, I think not. I now think that that mysterious organization, the Priory of Zion, provided him with the means to buy the land, build the house and the tower, perform all his other works, but not for his sake, not for his comfort, not for his purposes, but for theirs. For Saunière now seems to have been no more than the guardian of this place which had such immense significance for the Priory of Zion. The real treasure of Rennes-le-Château is not one of gold and jewels. The real treasure is a secret, the pentacle. A secret which held immense potency in the past, and which for some people still holds that potency today. Shape, I am told, has a property. In other words, certain shapes do certain things. Can a pentacle really do something? I don't know.
Perhaps in some ways I don't want to know. I discovered it, so I can't ignore it.